happens. Yeah. Okay. So I just need to wait 1 second and make sure that I am turned down on here. Yep. Okay. So welcome everybody. Super excited to be here with you all. And I just want to offer, as we start this, that for each of us, that we just set an intention of what the reason that you're doing this. It could be anything to feel more connected to whatever, yourself, hopefully, anything else, to receive the greater wisdom from the universe, or just to be present in your body for a little while. But just take a second, take a couple of breaths, landing with yourself in this moment right now. And landing in the virtual space together as well. So feeling what it feels like to be you. All of this that we're going to do today, you can do laying down, seated, standing, in any way that feels right to you. And feel free, if you need to say anything, also to use the chat, because I can check that out. Probably a lot of the times I will have my eyes closed, but I'll also be checking in with you visually here and there. So I want to offer today this kind of response to a meditation that Michael Taft, who is a non-dual meditation teacher at the Alembic, and he does these meditations, which are also online on YouTube, which I'll put the link in the bottom of this afterwards. And I've been editing a lot of the transcripts of those meditations. And so this one I was reading yesterday because another person who takes these classes a lot has done the edit, and I'm just going through to do the final edit. It's called the Tree of Earth and Sky. And so I'm just going to use those analogies for us today for this exploration. And I feel like I've been thinking a lot about the elements and the groundedness of the earth, our roots into the earth, and then the air, the sky element. Of course, within our own bodies is the water and also the fire, but I'm really going to be focusing on the earth and the sky today, because I tend to need to be more grounded, and also finding the spaciousness of being. So that's my start with this thing. So I'm actually going to start with some breath sounds, and you can do these with a hum, because I was thinking about what's the best way to bring the earth and the sky, and I'll talk us through and probably add music partway through, but what's the best way to bring that sort of imagery up for us? So we're going to start with this idea that we have, our tree has deep roots that are going all the way down to the core of the earth. And you could think of this as being the lower half of your body, or even from your top of your half down through this one connected tree. But if you're laying down, you might feel that your whole back body has these roots into the ground, or your whole front body, or your side body. Any way that you want to interpret those roots is entirely up to you, how they move down into the ground. And I want to start with a deep humming sound. It may start with a hum and then kind of go into a puffed O. So maybe it's going to be like, so I'm letting it kind of come out my mouth and then dive into my belly and come back out my mouth. You can do this in any way that feels good for you. You guys are all muted, so make as much noise or no noise if that feels good. I'm going to take my hands on my belly and a hand on my chest, and you can touch yourself or not as you feel, whatever feels right to you. And play with this breath sound for a while, going with sort of my deepest, or in the deep range of my vocal possibilities. Ooh. So I'm having this ooh to the to the ooh. It might be like that for you. Your sounds could be completely different, but feel free to play with that. And I can really feel as they move through different parts of my body where the bulk of the vibration is happening. we can imagine that as we're in the deeper parts of our body, that is just sending roots down deeper and deeper into the earth. Roots connected roots. Even we could think of the roots of our ancestors invited to this moment. And you may find that you want to move a little bit. And you're, of course, allowed like micro movement or macro movement. Any size, shape, or flow of the movement is welcome as we tune into the deep intelligence of our own system and this intelligence of earth energy, so that earth energy is coming up into us and also going down into the earth. The looping feedback is not a one-dimensional thing, but really looping. So our energy can radiate out and come back in. And I'm actually going to do this standing because I really want to feel this from the soles of my feet. So the ball is a little too airy for me. So I'm going to be standing. You can be laying down, you can be standing, you can be in any way you want. But I'm going to continue on with that same breath sound. Consider that it can last as long as it feels good. So you're really listening to your system. You're not trying to break a world record in the longest exhale, but you're allowing the breath to come out. And as the sound, the ooh to the to the ooh moves, just feeling how that moves through your body. And imagining that those radiations of vibration are really moving into the earth. They're moving into the space around you, but there's this access to the nurturing forces of groundedness, the foundational forces of being a human on the planet. Just the fact that we were born means that we belong here. We are connected to the gravitational pull of the earth. We are not going to fall off the planet. Anytime you need to take resting breaths, feel free to take resting breaths. And if movement is arising for you, allow it to play. So it's almost like you're giving yourself full permission to receive any communication, expression of movement, and to allow it to move through you or to move with you. If it's a lot to use that vocal cords, you can also try just the breath sound as well as another way to play, which might take you up into your branches. And even though we may feel this sense of rootedness, don't feel like that locks you into place, right? Your roots can move. What are they? The Ents, the big trees in Lord of the Rings that walk. Think of how that movement could move through your body. And also the movement of roots growing down, right? There's movement in there. And when it rains, there's probably shifting. When little creatures are tunneling around down there, there's probably shifting in motion. So we're not just foundational, but there's foundation with movement and shifting. And I'm going to invite us to now take it, just since we're in a shorter time span of 40 minutes, into, and I almost never do this, but I'm going to sit down to do it. We're going to actually go with a high sound. So to bring it up, like if you were down there, see if you can take it up to a higher octave with a letting your mouth shape maybe in more of an ah than an ooh, so that we can find that growing upwards and bringing the idea to come up into the branches of your tree. So we've established this beautiful foundation. Now letting the energy rise as we unfold out into our branches. So this could be just in your imagination, or it could be with movement, any way that feels accessible to you. And imagining also that your branches are burgeoning with life, right? It's not just spring and there's leaves, there may be flowers, there may be animals and birds nesting in there, just inviting all of it into your tree. And using that high sound to vibrate up higher in your head and let your mouth kind of open and close. So this isn't about being a good singer. Any sound that comes out is a beautiful sound, or it's not a beautiful sound, but we don't need to judge it. Inviting in the lightness of the upward pull, right? Of like, we don't just go down and sink into the ground. We also have this rebounding lightness that comes back up. So inviting that in. Even as I make these sounds, I can kind of get lost in the sensations in my own face. So feel free to let the exploration take you anywhere that feels nurturing, anywhere that feels delicious. Allowing the breath sounds to come out and then soften and melt whenever necessary, coming back into stillness or just into the silence. So I want to offer one more possibility with the sound, and that is really just to connect the lower to the upper. So it might be an octave, it might be higher, you may be moving. Ooh. But connecting through the center. So there's that life force energy coming from below and up to the top and out and beyond, and then coming back in. So any way that feels good in your body. And maybe it's not even sound. Maybe it's just a feeling of movement. Maybe it's a feeling of breath. The pea pod has joined the fray in the roots department. Doesn't have to sound good. Hopefully my earbuds are dropping it out the sound for you a little bit so you can have your own expression going on. What's the life energy in the middle of your tree? And we could even think in the central channel of the tree, right? As it radiates out and above, and as it radiates down and out and receives the energy of the earth. We can say in the top, we're receiving the energy of the vast sky. We're receiving the sunlight, opening to receive, right? That's one thing. I'm not the best receiver all the time, right? Can I receive that? Can I be aware and allow that sun energy into my body as well. Letting it dribble down into the earth, right? This relationship between the up and the down. You could say the inspiration and transcendence, and then the grounded and connectedness to the earth. And letting that play out in spirals, in ripples, in waves, in any way that feels interesting to you. Or maybe even in stillness. And maybe this movement is just happening on a cellular level in your body or in your imagination. We know about the networks of the trees as their root networks relate to each other. And also trees growing next to each other sort of know where the edge of the next tree is. So we're not just these individual single trees in the world. We're all together in our forest with each other, in our field of energy, in our energetic moment. Even if you're watching this in the replay, you're somehow there in the timelessness of it. So I've talked a lot. If you want more imagery on that, check out his meditation. I'm going to add music and let us just play in our own fields for a little while. And feel free to add sounds whenever you want. Play around with all of those ingredients. And sometimes maybe you just need to slow down and drop into the ground. That's fine too. Or maybe you need to, be up there in the heavens and in the sky. So think your tree can really go anywhere it needs to go. And this music that I'm going to add is Jeff Gersh. It is his ambient fields project, which has been created all over the world, actually a lot of it in Iceland. So let's go with that. Takes a minute to be heard. Receiving the nourishing energy of the earth and receiving the nourishing energy of the sky, the vast spaciousness of the sky, the bright brilliance of the sun. And allowing the wisdom of your own body, the freedom to really explore these images or these sensations, or these sounds. Or these leaves and branches. Allowing yourself to move and to be moved, right? To be moved by your experience, to allow in the experience. To allow in all the sensations of movement, of breath. And also to invite in a real kindness and softness for your own experience. So you're not critically judging this, but allowing whatever's coming up to move through you. Sometimes it's really easy to find the parts of yourself that you're feeling uncertain or judgmental about. Sometimes those parts really pop up. Can we be kind and gentle with even the parts of ourselves that we might not like as much? Oh, but that's part of this branch, this important branch of my tree, or this root into the ground. This is how I'm connected in one way. So finding maybe some of your own heart space for the tree. And if you're a Kabbalist, you can connect this into the tree of life. Maybe finding that 6, the heart's Tiphareth in the middle. Tree is not judging the wind and the rain or the sun. The tree is just being. I can look out my window and see a tree. And it's in constant motion, even if it's tiny, tiny motion. Seasons happen and the trees still stand. The rains come, the wind comes, maybe even lightning, all the things. And even in your environment, right? Like I'm on a wood floor. There's a tree underneath me. Inviting yourself to the generosity of a tree. Think of like an apple tree, all the apples it gives. Or a peach tree. Or an oak. Or a maple. Or a beech. Or an ash. Or the giving tree, the Shel Silverstein book. A sequoia. Or a redwood. All the creatures living in trees, insects, koala bears, sloths, yourself permission to really reach into the sky, to reach into the world, and also to receive, giving yourself permission to not reach, to just receive and just to be there. tree doesn't need to make an effort to do anything. It just does it. No effort, effortless being. Receiving the oxygen from the trees. We receive it, we use it. Right, they take in our carbon monoxide. Inside our bodies, our lungs. Oh yeah, the trees are the lungs of the earth. We have the lungs with the branches, right? Inside our bodies, our vascular system, our nervous system, if we dissect those apart, they look like root structures. They look like branches. They look like trees. Life. The tree of earth and sky. Does your body need in terms of nourishment? What can you offer yourself right now in this movement, in this breath, in this tree practice to take in that nourishment, to receive the nourishment? To accept it, to accept the nourishment. And if you meet with your dark shadows, if you meet with your resistance, can you just accept that? Or your judgment? fade out the music and give us a couple of breaths just to process, to land back into yourself, whatever that means, in the silence of your own experience. And before I close off the live stream, I want to add something. So as I was looking over this transcript that somebody else did the primary edit on, and she's in Australia. So some of the Q&A at the end, there's a Dharma talk and a Q&A. And in the Q&A, somebody asked, what's the point of this? Why do this? Other than the fact that it feels good and I'm relaxing. Like, oh, ding, 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 ding. It feels good and you're relaxing. That's why. But Michael's answer was great because he said, well, if you're going to shrug off the fact that it feels good and you're relaxing as not being important enough reason to do something, then it's likely that whatever I have to say isn't going to be a good enough answer for you. But he does answer the question. And his answer was, if we can find more gentleness in our own being and more skillful ways of being with ourselves and with the world, then it's worth it, right? If we can just be a little bit easier on other people, a little bit easier with ourselves, a little bit more as opposed to, right? That's a big difference in life. And that radiates out all over the place, not just for ourselves. So if you are there in the live stream world, oh, I don't think there's anyone there, but I'm going to end the live stream.